guys, welcome back to another episode of BAMDPG. I'll be your host, Bryson.
And I'll be your co-host, Ben.
And today we're going to talk about the top 5 running backs in the NFL draft. And then we have a hidden gem, which I don't know any of the players. I have a guessing jar right here. I don't know any of the players.
He doesn't.
If you think it's rigged, it's not.
Yeah, so Bryson's going to try to guess the schools.
And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and go check out our TikTok, BAMGPG.
That's right. So, Bryson, we're going to get into the running backs. So, not necessarily a market that Green Bay is going to be in, right? Potentially, if it comes up in one of the early rounds as best available guy and you just can't pass them up, maybe. But Green Bay's pretty set at running backs. Carl Brooks had a good year. Josh Jacobs, absolutely top 3 running back in the league. You can debate me on that if you want, but I firmly believe that. And then you got a rookie this season that we didn't get to see much from, but I'm excited to see him hit the field from USC. Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, so I'm really excited about him as well. So, again, it's something that Green Bay's pretty set at, but if a running back is a position in need for your team, we're going to kind of go through, take a glance at the top 5 in the draft, and then a guy that we feel could be a steal in this year's draft based off his collegiate career. So let's
get into the guessing jar.
Let's do it.
All right. First player is from Iowa Hawkeyes.
We do have an Iowa Hawkeye up here. Absolutely. So, Bryson, our Hawkeye, Caleb Johnson.
Yeah.
Go ahead and cover his stats here for the 2024 season.
Okay. Overall grade, 86.3, games played 12, attempts 240 yards, 1,535 yards per average, 6.4 touchdowns, 21, receptions 22, targets 25, and receiving yards 190.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like he's probably closer in that number 3 running back in the draft range. We're probably a little bit biased because he is a Hawkeye, so we're a lot more familiar with Caleb Johnson. But as you mentioned, he graded out an 86.3 this year, had 1,535 rushing yards on the season. Rushing grade was an 86.7. What I really like to look at in running backs, what are their yards after contact, right? So his is pretty solid, 4.42 yards after contact. Receiving, had 190 yards receiving out of the backfield this year. So he does have that kind of addition to his game, right? So he is able to receive out of the backfield. But he had absolutely a phenomenal season, 1,535 yards on the year. And he's a 6 foot, 225 pound back, so he's got decent size to him. And he averaged 6.4 yards per an attempt this season. So pretty solid season out of Caleb Johnson. Really had a big jump up from the previous season where he graded out a 65.2. But I'm hopeful for him at the next level. I think he'll be a great addition to whatever team does pick him up. And he's probably not a day 1 draft pick, or rather a round 1 draft pick. You're looking more at that round 2, round 3 draft pick for him. So he's absolutely he's a stud. He's going to be great at the next level, and I'm excited to watch him wherever he does land.
Yeah.
So, Bryson, the next one up on the board for us
is, before we get into it, guessing Joe, got to remember that. Get this guy.
You're 1 for 1 so far.
Off to a good start. Texas Longhorns.
Do not have a Longhorn. Do not. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our next guy here, Dylan Sampson from Tennessee, the Volunteers. So, what did he grade out this year, Bryson?
Yeah. Overall grade, 90.4 games played, 13 attempts, 258 yards, 1,488 yards per average, 5.8 touchdowns, 22 receiving. Receiving.
Receptions. Yep. Reception. He had 20 receptions.
Targets, 25, and receiving yards, 143.
Yeah. So another running back, Bryson, that graded out well this season, 90.4. He had a 90.9 on his rushing grade. As you mentioned, he had 1,488 yards. He averaged 5.8 yards a carry, so a little bit less than Johnson. Again, the important thing I like to look at, yards after contact. Where's he at on that, right? So he finished at 3.6 yards per carry after contact, so pretty solid. Slightly above average in that area. Not quite as good as what we saw Johnson there, but still a fantastic season out of Dylan Sampson. And size-wise, he's 5'11", 201 pounds, the junior coming out. He had a great season, right? I would probably rank him right below Johnson in this year's draft, but absolutely a good running back. He's going to make a great addition to whatever team does draft him. Again, you're probably looking at a late second or third round pick for this guy right here.
Yep.
So, Bryson, the next guy on the list.
Let's see. Guessing job. Colorado.
Do not have a Colorado guy on my list here. That was a good guess, though. So... yeah. Let's go to the next one here. We've shared out a guy on this team before already too. So North Carolina Tar Heels. Typically, you don't think of them as a football school. They're one of those blue blood basketball schools, right? But got Bill Belichick coming in.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can get that program kind of. I don't want to say turned around. They're kind of sitting there average, kind of like a Hawkeye team is almost, right? So see if he can kind of get those into the playoff scenarios every year, and I think Belichick probably can. Well, it's one of those wait and see type of deals with him. So
I'm surprised Belichick didn't just stay in the NFL.
I'm really surprised with that too. Especially being as close as he is to that record of having the all-time wins. I thought for sure if he was going to come back to coach, if he still had the desire to coach, I thought for sure it would be at the NFL level, right? He'd be chasing that record. He's got the Super Bowls, right? The only thing he's missing at this point is having that all-time record, right? This doesn't mean that he doesn't, just stay a single year at North Carolina, just get his foot back in the door, and then he takes that leap to the NFL next season. That's totally a possibility. I would never throw that out the door. I think there's got to be somewhat desire within him, right? He knows he's close to that record. He's got to want to go out and get it. He is aging. He's older, right? He's in his 70s. So that window's closing. So I couldn't, if he's going to chase that record in the NFL, I couldn't imagine him staying longer than a year or 1 or 2 seasons at North Carolina.
Yeah.
But kind of digress off that a little bit here, Bryson. We'll cover Omarion Hampton from North Carolina.
Okay. Overall grade, 88.3 games played, 12 attempts, 281 yards, 1,660 yards per average, 5.9 touchdowns, 15 receiving, 38 38 targets, 43 and receiving yards, 373.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, another running back that had a terrific season, graded out at 88.3. Rushing grade, another one above 90, so 90.5 in that area. And he had 38 receptions on 43 targets for 373 yards. So a dynamic back, able to catch and run out of the backfield. He had a pretty decent, now this, as I mentioned previous to, this is a stat I like to look at, yards after contact, pretty good. 4.35 yards after contact, that's absolutely what you're looking for. And size-wise, he's 6'1", 220, so he's got a decent size to him, right? So excited about this guy. Again, he's going to be a great running back at the next level. Right, absolutely. So whatever you know, if you're a team looking for a running back, you know, not wanting to spend a first round pick on him, this may be a direction you look, right? So great rusher. Again, graded out well this season. Great yards after contact, and he's got decent size to him out of North Carolina. So, Bryson, that'll bring us to our next one.
Okay. We got. Oh, I already did that one.
And these next two are probably our top two in the draft.
I already did Texas Longhorns, right?
You did, yep.
Okay, yeah. Ohio State.
I didn't. I was tempted to pull one of Ohio State's backs. As you know, they got two of them coming out in the draft this year. And they're both pretty decent running backs coming out of Ohio State, both graded out well. But I didn't put them in my top five here for this quick preview of running backs in this year's draft class. But, you know, they're not far from that, both running backs coming out of Ohio State. So that was an excellent guess. I am going to pull up this one first. I'll save the best for our number 5 here, okay? So, Cam Skeetaboo from Arizona, Bryson. You want to run through his stats here real quick for us?
Yeah, overall grade, 93.3 games played, 13 attempts, 294 yards, 1,712 yards per average, 5.8 touchdowns, 21 receiving, 44 targets, 52 and receiving yards, 543.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a dynamic back, right? Couldn't grade out better on the season, honestly. So he graded out 93.3, as you mentioned. His rushing grade was a 94.6 on the season. 1,712 yards on the ground rushing for Arizona. And then the one I'm really impressed with is his receiving yards, right? 543 yards receiving this year. So 1,700 yards on the ground, nearly 600 yards receiving this season. So where is he yards after contact? 4.09. So pretty good yards after contact. And size-wise, he's 5'11", 215 pounds. So he's kind of that prototypical running back size, height, and weight-wise. So he's gonna be a great back, right? His play is going to translate well to the next level. He's instantly going to make that position better for whatever team does decide to draft Cam at the next level. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see what he can do at the next level. Yards-wise, yards per attempt this year, 5.8. Excellent. So excited for Cam. We'll see where he gets drafted this season. Again, I don't think it's probably going to be in Green Bay. It'll be a team that's really looking for that running back early in the draft, but he'll be a fantastic back at the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bryson, our next one here. Who's your next school?
Okay. Let's see. Michigan.
Michigan. No, I didn't have a Michigan back. But we will pull up probably who I think is, well, I don't think it, right? He's kind of the consensus top back in this year's draft.
I didn't put him. I didn't put this school.
Yeah, Boise State Broncos. So Ashton Gentry, he's probably the top-rated back in this year's draft class, Bryson. If you want to go ahead and run through his stats on the season.
Yeah. Overall grade 94.9 games played, 14 attempts, 375 yards, 2,595 yards for average, 6.9 touchdowns, 29 receiving, 23 targets, 33 receiving yards, 138.
Yeah, so this guy's an animal. 94.9 overall grade at the position this season. Rushing grade of 96.6. You mentioned 2,595 yards, 2,600 yards rushing on the season's absolutely insane. Average 6.9 yards a carry. Dang near a first down every time they handed him the ball out of the backfield. His yards after contact, also fantastic. He averaged 5.25 yards after contact this season. This guy's great, right? Potentially a top 10 pick, may fall just outside of a top 10. But he's a first round draft pick. He's a no doubter, right? So whatever team does decide to draft him is going to get a gem, right? He's going to be fantastic. His play is going to translate well at the next level. And another guy I'm excited to see, right? So size-wise, 5'9", 215. So he's got decent size to him as far as his weight. Height, he's pretty average for a running back at 5'9", but fantastic season out of him. Again, almost 2,600 yards, and then grading out at 94.9 at his position this season.
Yeah.
So pretty excited to see what he does. Hoping he doesn't come to an NFC North team. I wouldn't like to see that, especially the Bears. I'd like to see them kind of waste their draft pick. But
Except for us. I wouldn't mind him going to us.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if he would fall to 23, you'd be hard-pressed not to take him, right? We do have other areas where we need to address, absolutely, but if you have a player...
I don't think he's quite going to 23, though.
No. There's no way he falls to 23, but if, there is a world we live in where he would fall to 23, I don't think you would pass up on a guy like him, right?
No.
So... with that, Bryson, that'll bring us to our last one. This will be kind of our hidden gem of the draft this year.
I have a guess for this one. I was going to say the Texas Longhorns again, but I want to say TCU.
Southern, it's south. Think south. Below Georgia.
Florida?
It's in Florida. Very southern part of Florida.
Florida State?
Nope. It's where the Dolphins play.
Oh, Miami.
Miami, yes. So, Miami, the Hurricanes, right? So, Damian Martinez is kind of my hidden gem of this year's draft. His overall grade this year, Bryson, was a 91.1 at the position. He had over 1,000 yards on the ground, averaging...
just barely over 1,000.
Just barely over 1,000, but he averaged 6.3 yards per carry. So fantastic, right? He did have a little bit of receiving yards, 17 catches out of 21 attempts, 204 yards. Rushing grade, fantastic, 94.3 on his rushing grade. So yards after contact as well, 4.46 yards per carry after contact, right? So that's fantastic. It's what you want to see. And then size-wise, he's kind of that bigger back. He reminds you kind of a better version of what we have in A.J. Dillon, right? So 6 foot, 232, very similar size to like an A.J. Dillon, but he had a fantastic collegiate career. 85, 83, and then 91 this season. So he's going to be, kind of a great steal in that draft. He might be a 3rd, 4th round pick for a team, but I think he'll be a difference maker and absolutely a guy that should make the 53-man roster for whatever team does draft him. So I think for me, he's the steal of the draft at that position because you're going to be able to get his caliber of play at a later round, right? So excited to see where he lands. I wouldn't complain if Green Bay took a 4th round pick or late 3rd round pick if we're able to get another 3rd round pick on him in this year's draft. So with that, Bryson, I'm going to try to go live again tomorrow. So if you don't follow us on TikTok, go ahead and follow us on TikTok, BAM GPG. We're going to run through. We'll probably do a 5-round mock draft on there. We'll go live tomorrow, probably about 6 p.m. Central Time. Bryson, we'll go live and we'll run through a 5-round mock draft on there, run through some of the players. You can see it live, kind of give us your instant feedback on the picks. And
we might start a gaming YouTube channel.
Yes, Bryson wants to get into some gaming, so we'll look at that as well. But yeah, join us tomorrow night for sure on TikTok Live. We'll get on there and we'll run through a 5-round mock draft for everyone. So that's all I have for tonight, Bryson.
Well, and if you have any questions, just put in the comments on TikTok and we'll answer every question.
Yeah, let us know. Be active in those chats. We'll respond to you. If you have any thoughts, questions, opinions on anything, let us know.
Yeah, and as always,
It's Go Pack Go.